So I'm so honored to be with you all today. My name is Louis Damani Jones. I'm the Voter Engagement Coordinator for the Gephardt Institute for Civic and Community Engagement. The Gephardt Institute works with students, faculty, and staff across all 7 academic schools at Washington University at both the graduate and undergraduate levels to ensure that robust and high quality civic engagement opportunities exist on campus and in the St. Louis community. We also work closely with community organizations in the St. Louis region to facilitate effective partnerships with WashU departments, and we support alumni-led efforts to foster a lifelong civic engagement. And so I'm so honored to be here today with the Civic Life Project to discuss our new collaboration, which is so fantastic. So thank you all for joining today. Can you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yes. Hi, welcome. I'm so pleased that students are showing up for this. I'm Catherine Tadji, and this is Dominique Lasser. We're the co-founders of the Civic Life Project. And we just tell you a little bit about our background. We are Emmy Award-winning documentary filmmakers who have worked primarily for public television, and we have produced shows in news and public affairs, to science, to the arts, to music, all national shows. And so that's a little bit about us. Dominique's going to talk about.
So when we worked with students in high school and college, they used to ask, what is a documentary filmmaker? And I said, well, you want to know that documentary filmmaker is the best job in the world. And the reason is that you are a permanent student, but unlike you guys, we are being paid to be a permanent student. Not enough, but we are being paid. No, I mean, being a documentary filmmaker allows you to meet people that you would never meet in a normal course of life. Now, we met residents, we met victims of domestic violence, we met gang members, artists. In the process of making the film for the challenge, students can meet people in their community that they would never meet otherwise. Community leaders, people who are actively doing something about our democracy and about issues that concern our democracy. So what happened to us is that 12 years ago, public television asked us to do a series on democracy. And as we were doing the research, we realized that the people that we really wanted to engage in a conversation about democracy were not the PBS audience, which is, sort of 55, 60 and over. There's nothing wrong with that, but we wanted to really address the people who are least engaged, most alienated, it seems, from our political system, our democracy. And those are young people. Only one person out of 5 votes if they are under 30 in the United States. And we realized very quickly by meeting with them, meeting with faculty members, that the best way was not to do a series on PBS, but to really have them make short films about issues that they cared about. And that's how it started. And so not knowing that we were, it was impossible to work with public school, we went to our local public school and said, hey, we have a great idea.
And so we started to mentor students, not only in high school, but in colleges, and to create these documentaries. And it developed into the yearly Democracy Youth Film Challenge. This year is 2022. And over the past 6 years, we have given over $50,000 in prizes for the best produced films. So this year, Democracy Youth Film Challenge will take place live video event on September 21st. And there are going to be 2 categories of prizes. The first category is to create a 6 to 8 minute short documentary. And I'm going to show you an example of a film that was made by one of our college students from Lawrence University in Wisconsin, Appleton, Wisconsin. So we'll show this to you.
That everyone knows about it.
Let's cut off.
You know, if you're a male, here's the path for you. You need to have, you know, blue clothes, and you need to be tough, and you can't cry, and you can't have emotions, and you got to throw a football, and you got to like the Packers, and you can't be too artsy and all that stuff. That's the path you go on.
I had a couple friends stick up for me, but not all of them did. And a lot of the times, that hurt almost the most is when my friends wouldn't stick up for me.
We're witnesses to those comments, "that's so gay," or calling somebody, you know, a word that's derogatory, or just saying a sexist or racist or homophobic joke. We're often hearing that, you know, as bystanders, and then witnessing somebody being bullied or harassed. If we don't stand up, that impacts us as well.
I think the biggest obstacle of high school is just the fact that everyone knows you're different, and that people can oppose you strongly, and that guys, especially guys, think that I'm attracted to them, every single guy, and that's what really makes me angry, because even in class, it's weird if I have to sit down next to like a different guy. They're always, "Why are you sitting next to me? You like me." And that's a lot of the problem. It's always the guys.
The people who hurt people are hurt people themselves. It's hurt people who are out there hurting other people. So the bullies themselves, you know, we label them as bullies, but they are also very often folks who are really hurting inside. And so it's, in some ways, it's a cry for help of, you know, why are you behaving that way? Why are you so hurt inside that you want to drag someone else down to your level or cause pain in somebody else to kind of get them where you're at?
We had an incident in Oshkosh where a young man was beaten up on Christmas Day on December 25th, 2011. He was beaten to the point that he required emergency brain surgery that night after coming outside of a gay bar. The two men who beat him up, who are now sitting in jail, 2-year sentence, by the way, who are now sitting in jail, I could probably place, if I were to be a betting person, I would place money on the fact that that bullying didn't start that night. And that was the extreme form of bullying. Something along the way, somewhere, they began bullying somebody who might have been gay or different than they were. And without keeping that in check, without anybody holding them accountable earlier in life, they got to the point where they thought it was okay to beat a man to the severity where they broke his jaw, where he had brain swelling, where he had all of these things happen to him, because they thought he shouldn't be gay and he shouldn't be, you know, out in the community just being who he is.
Nothing is ever done about any of the bullying, no matter how many people report it. Nothing ever happens.
The bullies are sneaky about it. They're not just doing it in front of the teachers. They're doing it in the bathrooms and in the hallways when teachers aren't looking, and before and after school and places like that. So you can have really good teachers who are there. They're really busy. They're trying to keep track of 30 kids and make sure they learn, and they don't necessarily know that that one kid's getting beat up in the bathroom and all that stuff.
Just feel all that hate and just unwelcome all day long. And it just gets drilled in your head that that no one likes you, and that eventually you start hating yourself because of it.
We've had many young people suicides, and several of them were youth who identified as LGBT, one of them being a very close friend of mine. Who died in September of 2010. And that was really difficult for me to go through, especially because we had talked to each other a lot about our experiences and how we would be there for each other. And finding out that he was no longer in this world was really difficult. And it made me think a lot about my life and how far I've come. Actually, this March will be 4 years of me trying to attempt suicide. On March 15th, I tried killing myself, and just because of all the hatred I've got from the community, from my family, I just felt really lost. And so I tried to do that, and I did not succeed, and I'm very glad about that. But then about a year or two later, having my best friend die the way I almost died was really difficult.
I actually went to a mental hospital 4 times for self-harm and suicide. I actually spent my 16th birthday in the hospital trying to commit suicide. So I thought about it a lot before and after. And it was more so after I came out, actually, because of the ridicule and harassment. I just didn't feel like anyone was ever there for me. I didn't feel like I could relate to anyone.
In 2011, CHAP became concerned with the rise in youth suicide in the LGBT community. We realized that in order to address that issue, we have to look at the whole LGBT community. So we decided to take a plunge in December of 2011. Our plunge was not into the ice-cold lake, but into a part of our community that many of us didn't know much about.
What really hit home for the individuals involved in the plunge was this idea that we had youth who were driven to the point of suicide because they didn't feel welcome in their own community, sometimes in their own homes, but mostly in school or in our community around us. And so the idea for the plunge and the Include initiative came from that hope that we wanted to make sure that there were no more suicides due to somebody feeling misunderstood or judged for their sexual orientation or gender identity or expression.
The fact that they're taking this on in a big way is huge, but it has to be sustainable, right? You can't do one thing and then hope that everything's just going to change overnight. The message has to be sustainable, the pressure on different groups has to be sustainable, and the leadership has to be there. And so I think that as a community, this is a huge first step, bigger than most communities, any community that I've dealt with that I know of has taken in the country. And I think it's unfortunately had to come about because of a lot of crisis. But with that can come a lot of opportunity for change if it's sustainable. If people don't just think this is the end and be all and we're going to be good after this, but it has to be continued. And like I just said, people have to feel uncomfortable before they can actually change and grow.
I think we just, as a community, we need to get to a place where we can have those conversations, you know, with our school boards and have those conversations that are productive. But we also need to be making sure we're electing people that are supportive of equality and supportive of diversity and inclusion. That's key and that's important. And that kind of stuff doesn't, you know, that doesn't happen overnight.
My biggest concern is that I guess we'll start stepping backwards. Because I know we're moving forwards, but it's hard to. And there's a lot of opposition, I guess. So my fear is that, or my concern is that we'll start stepping backwards again. It's just probably my biggest fear, is to be afraid of having to walk alone.
So the second category is to create a 2 to 3 minute social media piece that encourages your peers to vote. So these are sort of mini commercials that can be entertaining or whatever, but the idea is to motivate everyone on campus or in schools at voting age to vote. And I'm going to show you an example of one of the winners from last year's, from 2 years ago, pre-COVID, a short video that was done and has been used all over for, you know, to encourage for voting.
Yeah, it actually got more than 70,000 views on YouTube.
We're all passionate about that something, an issue that we hold deep in our hearts. For me, it's immigration.
For me, it's racism.
Women's rights.
Abortion.
Science denial.
Mass incarceration.
Police reform.
For me, it's climate change. But the thing is, politicians aren't listening to the youth.
Nothing large is being done.
No one cares.
And it's honestly kind of our fault.
But you can change that, and here's how.
Vote. Don't believe us? Here's why.
Politicians, the people who have the power to make foundational political changes, fundamentally chase after votes.
But the youth aren't voting, so politicians don't really care about what we think.
Much less actually acting on what we care about. They cater to the voting population, and the youth, those aged 18 to 29,
have consistently had the lowest voter turnout. And in fact, fewer than 1 in 5 young people cast ballots on Super Tuesday.
Now, the youth don't vote for a variety of reasons. One being that politicians don't really reach out or engage us. Again, because we don't vote.
It's an endless cycle of misrepresentation.
the voting system is systematically against us. We aren't well educated in civics, and it's socially acceptable,
almost encouraged for the youth not to vote, even though we're the most educated generation.
It's not like we're lazy. In fact, we've been the leaders in some of the biggest political movements,
like the LGBTQ movement,
the environmental fight,
and most recently, the Black Lives Matter movement.
We fight strong and hard for the injustices, but we aren't getting the political results we need.
Even if you're not passionate in activism, you need to vote.
We all promise your one youth vote will have a massive impact.
I will vote.
I will vote.
When I can vote,
I will vote.
And you should too.
To start the voting process, go to vote.gov and pick your state and territory.
Remember, if you want change, you need to vote.
So that's two examples of film that you can make. And so the process is that for the Civic Life project, we have a panel of judges who are going to decide who the winners are. And the Gephardt Institute will select the top films produced by Washington University students and award a prize of $5,000 for the winning film. And will set up its own screening on the campus, I understand. But your film, as Washington students, will also be eligible to win the prize for Civic Life. So you could actually win $10,000 if your film is selected both by your university and the challenge. So the main point of this is that you guys, you students, have the power to make a difference. And video storytelling is the most efficient, effective, powerful tool that you can use at this time to really get your voice heard and to really make a difference. So we encourage you to join us and to submit to the challenge.
Do you have any questions?
Well, that was a fantastic overview. Just a couple of questions. So just to solidify for students, when would the film submission need to be by? What is the date that has to be in and the time that it has to be in?
The deadline is August 14. You guys actually at Washington University are very lucky because you get 2 more days than the rest of the students everywhere in the world. So August 14 is the deadline at midnight.
And can multiple people submit together? Like, can you have a team of people submit, or does it have to be an individual?
Yes. No. In many cases, it's 2 or 3 people who work together to make the film, because honestly, to make a film does take time and you need to share the work. It's a collaborative process, and that's one of the things that makes this experience so wonderful.
And are there resources available for students who would like to learn more about the process of creating a film, and where can they find those resources?
Yes, I would encourage them to go to our website, civiclifeproject.org. And under the challenge menu, there are all tools and resources that they can use. There are lots of videos, and really, we are available to offer help to anyone who can contact us through our website. So if someone says, hey, guys, I need help because I'm making a film on the situation of domestic violence in my town, we'll be there and we'll help.
Fantastic. So that's great. And I think students can go to the Civic Life Project to learn more. Important information about age. What's the age level for students that can participate in a national level conversation?
15 to 25 years old.
Great, and that's really important to know. So,
and 20, yeah, and it's 25 I mean, we just got a great submission from a young woman in Ukraine, and she's going to turn 26 on August 31st.
Oh, wow.
She's in.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and just to put a point on that, so to get into the national competition, you need to be between the ages of 15 and 25 years old. However, if you're a Washington University student and you're over the age, you can still submit. You will not be eligible for the national competition, but if you're a student, you will still be eligible for the Gephardt Award. And so I just want to encourage you still, if you're a graduate student over the age of 25 or an undergrad over the age of 25, to still submit. However, you just will not be eligible, unfortunately, for the national level. But we do encourage all folks in that age demographic of 15 to 25, submit, knowing you can win up to $10,000 and have your voice amplified at the national level. Well, thank you so much. The Civic Life Project, the Gephardt Institute at Washington University is so thrilled to partner with you. And hopefully this is the beginning of many more years of fruitful partnership in the work of elevating student voices for civic engagement. So thank you so much. And we look forward to the competition, the robust competition.
Yes, we're looking forward to seeing your films. So send them to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
Look forward to talking later. Bye.
Bye.